hoping that the camera angle's all right. I don't think I messed up too bad, but worst comes to worst, we're a little off kilt. Anyways, what is this?
Isn't
30?
that always true?
Yeah, I don't know. This is why we need a producer. Michael's home right now. He should be producing. But 35, right? I think this is number 35. Big 3-5.
Bannon did say everyone thinks Denver is a person. Because that's not one person.
Yeah, it's a group
I
of
think
people.
it's a person the way he talks about Denver, can you get your act together? Anyhow.
It's a group.
That's between us.
Yeah. So 35, couple follow-up articles from last week. Mom's already taken a vacation after 35, going to Universal Studios tomorrow after we talked about the Chocolate Emporium.
Didn't you learn anything from Andrew Tate? Don't talk about where you're going to be.
Well, then by the time this comes out, you're done. You're gone. So they won't even know. If you get recognized, then it's like, whoa, but... Whoa, are you Michael's? Are you Michael Chris's brother at Universal? Why did you do the Hulk ride 8 times in a row?
That's what I need, a stalker watching me on the live of the camera.
Oh, man. Well, I have to post the clip from the last social media post for tonight is our Chocolate Emporium. And I'm going to at Universals, and if they see it, we're in, Mom. Lifetime passes. But as I was saying, so I think a couple of our articles are follow-ups from last week. You had one, I had technically 2. So I don't know which one you want to start off with.
I was going to do the AI one first. This was an article on The Verge. You want me to do that one first?
Go for it.
So the AI-generated fiction, you were talking about people writing stories using AI and submitting them.
So for those of you that didn't see the podcast, because I realize a lot of people don't watch every single one or can't get through every single one.
Shame on you.
Disgusting. Sometimes you miss them, or like most people watch podcasts while doing something, so you might have missed it. But basically, we were talking about the pros and cons of AI, and essentially, now we've gotten to the point where ChatGPT can write fiction books for kids.
Right.
So it's just a lot easier. This guy printed like 20 books just off ChatGPT, so he just has to publish them, and that's really it.
Well, also some of these publishers, what happens is you submit these stories, and there's certain methods of submitting them, like programs that they use to submit them. And the problem is, based on this article from The Verge, that the AI-generated fiction is flooding literary magazines, but it's not fooling anyone. So this person from Clark's World, a publisher.
Clark's World?
Yeah, it's a fiction. They do science fiction and fantasy magazine. The AI-generated fiction is flooding these magazines. People are sending in the same stories over and over. So literally the same title.
So it's gotten to the point where it's having continuations of the same?
Well, they're just multiple people generating, because you get money when you submit these stories. And if they're accepted, they'll pay you by word, or they'll pay you
so
per
essentially
article.
A lot of the stories just are like different characters, but same exact story?
Same title, similar characters, same names, right? But for instance, The Last Hope is one of the ones she used as an example. They had The Last Day of Autumn, The Last Echo, The Last Voyager. It was all basically the
I knew this
story.
was going to happen. I just didn't think there would be that many
Well, and what's the
instances.
downside to it? Publishers, they can spot them more easily now, and they have a name for it. They call it AI Chum. AI Chum, yeah. Some cannot accept the work, and they have to suspect. So much is flooding in that they have to have a cutoff, right? So they can get through it all. Problem is, legitimate writers get cut off too.
Yeah.
So they're not getting the exposure that they need, and it's bad for the publishers because they want to look at the work so they could possibly put good quality stuff out there. Clark's World received 700 submissions.
What is Clark's World? That's the publishing?
This is a magazine.
Okay, gotcha.
That's in the fantasy fiction world. Science fiction magazine, Clark's World, it's called.
Clark's World.
Yeah, so this is basically, it started with a woman talking about it, who's one of the publishers there, who has to go through and pick these stories. They received 700 submissions in a month from humans, 500 from AI. Okay? So that's growing. 500. Some of the subjects, sorry, my notes are ripped here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out someone destroyed someone sabotaged Mom's notes.
Cake shop. So anyhow, that's part of basically what it says, though, that it's becoming so. Yeah. Gosh, I had to put paper towels in between, like little, to dry it up so I could.
Oh God.
I didn't want it to smear, and then I couldn't see it. Forget it if I use these new pens.
Right. Yeah, I didn't.
So point is, they're starting to pick up faster and faster, like all the the tells that it's an
Right.
AI generated story versus others. It's just what annoys this the two publishers, a few of them they talked about in the article. It takes time for them to go through it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's wasted their time, but on top of it, it's time away from legitimate writers, and it's just slowing them
Right.
down.
I'm sure they get crazy amounts of people wanting to publish something in a day. Not just books. I'm sure there's articles too that they publish. Right.
Yeah,
I doubt
well,
that
this
they're
is
just
mostly
books.
articles, I think.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it is mostly articles that they put on it. Like Asimov's. Have you ever heard of Asimov's?
The science fiction.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously
Yeah, it's a
Asimov
magazine.
writer,
Yeah.
but there's a magazine that does it. Same story. You know, they had somebody from there saying it gets a little annoying after a while going through all these AI ones.
It says she receives anywhere from 700 to 750 stories a month.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, so I guess it's not articles. It's actual full.
Yeah,
magazine.
some of them are stories,
Viewed
right?
the story and
They pay
passed
for
it.
them.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know who that person was that you just quoted, but one said 700 a month, human 500 AI, but it's getting closer and closer that the AI is growing.
Right.
And basically, a lot of them they're just doing it for money because they get paid.
Yeah.
So it's a way of making money. Generate stories, submit them, and so now they're starting to tweak the submission platform.
You
that they
have
use,
to.
right?
You have to. Honestly, if they were smart, they'd make a Chat GPT bot that would be able to decipher what's Chat GPT based and what's not.
Right.
But I don't know how much. Truthfully, I don't know how much that would cost to actually do. Like actually using Chat GPT is free, but to actually use a software or create a software that knows what's being made by Chat GPT, that's a problem, right?
Well,
Because
we had
that could be
we did
tens
that
of
on
thousands of dollars.
Well, but we did that on the podcast. That kid did it over his spring break for Princeton.
That's
Christmas
right.
break.
Yeah.
He created a.
But he's someone who actually knows how to use Chat GPT. These are just publishers.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have someone that'll do that for them, but
Oh well, give it time. Someone's probably working on it as we speak, and we'll sell it as a means to make money to all these. Because if it's a problem for them, it's going to be a problem for everybody.
yeah, I'm sure we're gonna be seeing this. Like this is just
Tip of the iceberg.
yeah, exactly.
Iceberg.
So, from a stories perspective, I can understand like how that can be. I'm just trying to think of a bad use case for it in that industry, but I can't really think of one. Like in the sense of, I would rather have an abundance of stories than 12 mediocre stories.
Well, I'm getting that they're not the best of stories because they're kind of
They're copy and paste.
Yeah, you
right.
just copy and paste type of thing. And I forget what the term she used, but they're never.
But
they
hold on,
just
here's
lack
the
something.
question though. Aren't all kids' books kind of the same anyway?
But these aren't kids' books. This
Science
is science fiction
fiction.
and fantasy, but it could be Asimov's a science publication.
Because
This is
like,
also flash fiction
yeah.
online. They accept a range of genres, including horror and literary fiction.
gotcha.
So it's not all just children's books, but I'm sure that's starting to happen in the children's realm. You just probably can get through those faster.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some terminology they use, but there's just something different about the AI generated ones. And you could just, like they said, now we're at the point we could tell right away.
Yeah.
The opening line, the ending, I think they said tends to be really melodramatic. Everything's too tightly tied together in the storyline.
Too tightly tied
Yeah,
together.
like if there's no.
Oh, that's funny.
That's part of how they put it together. You know, like it was nothing, just kind of bland, like nothing. Everyone has piercing green eyes. Stories often open with characters sitting down. Of the more than 1,000 works FFO, that's this fiction group, has received this year, Yeezy, the publisher, estimates around 5% were likely AI generated.
5% is not bad.
No, that's not bad for them.
Yeah. I want to know how many they would get. I wonder how many they would get before ChatGPT. Like, I wonder how many people are putting books in or trying to publish something. Like, if they went from 200 to 700, I mean, that's a clear cut. Like, there's a problem. But if it went from like 600 books to 700, and now they're like, oh, it's too much work.
Asimov's received around 900 stories for consideration in January and is on track to get 1,000 this month.
Yeah, but what was it before ChatGPT? That's my question. Because if it's like a 50 book jump up, it's like, or a short story, I should say, jump up, then it's like, it's 100 more, but it's not crazy.
Well,
Sounds like you just don't want to do more work.
She
But
said at Clark's World, they would receive anywhere from 700 to 750 stories a month.
before ChatGPT. So they've gained an
she
extra
inferred
200.
that. Yeah.
I mean, the best thing you could do is hire another publisher, another reviewer to offset the amount of books that are being
they don't just do. So she doesn't just do one. There's several people that read
Yeah,
these books.
but you'd have to have more people on staff if you're getting more.
That costs more money. You got to pay for that, which means the writers are getting.
But you also
less.
have more books that you can publish,
Well,
if they are good.
Not if it's AI Chum. I got to publish AI Chum.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Again, another use case that it's not made for, but people have found the loophole.
Yeah.
So.
Quantity versus quality.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So here's mine. Technically, mine's 2 articles. John Fetterman's letter from the hospital bed raises questions. Did you see this?
I have seen things about him.
We talked about this last week, but basically the Pennsylvania senator, John Fetterman, was sent to, or checked himself into a psych...
into a hospital for depression.
For clinical depression.
That's what they said.
Clinical depression, I don't know if that's true. It's probably just depression symptoms, because clinical depression, I mean, we would know if someone has clinical depression. That's
the comments that I read in one article said from doctors that if that was in fact true, they wouldn't be keeping him there a week.
Yes.
He would have been in for a couple days. Time. They would have no, the opposite.
For clinical depression?
Well, for depression.
Yes, okay.
Coming in for depression.
Clinical depression is very different.
They said that he probably would have been there for a couple days and then released. I assume, either with medication or talking to somebody. But the fact that he's been there that long raises a lot of doubts.
I doubt it would be clinical depression, though. It's got to be something more than depression. Clinical depression, you're in a psych ward for a long time. That's more likely than clinical depression.
He's debilitated.
Right, but because I feel like a lot of people they hear the term clinical depression and depression and say they're the same thing. Clinical depression and depression are very different. Yeah. So when they say clinical depression, I mean, we would have known by now if he had clinical depression just based off his actions and how he walks. You wouldn't be showing up to stuff.
How could you tell? He's so impaired. He could be depressed. I'm not saying he isn't.
Again, depressed is different than clinical, though. Clinical depression, that's people that aren't going to work, haven't showered in weeks, never clean up.
But here's the thing. We don't know. We have no idea what he's doing for himself. I mean, he has a team of people that work with him.
Oh, I'm sure.
The reality is that now people are clamoring, we want to see him.
Yes.
Because what's going on?
So that's why I don't think it's a clinical depression. It's, to your point, it's probably something else. He checked himself in for some form of depression. Now it's like, okay, so what's really going on here? But the reason that this article is interesting is because it sounds like this other Democratic Senator, Bob Casey, is kind of doing all the work right now. Okay, so hold on, let me read this one again. So Fetterman joined fellow Democratic Senator Bob Casey, and then the Democratic Representative Chris Deluzio, I think is his name.
Is he a rep in? I don't know who the two senators are in Pennsylvania.
I think it's those
Fetterman
two.
And
Bob Casey, and then it says that there's another one. Democratic representative, is Chris Deluzio, sending a letter to the Southern CEO, Alan Shaw, that urged the company to provide resistance for something that happened over there, I guess. But it sounds like someone's it's almost like he's not senator right now. Like they're doing his job for him.
Yes.
So I'm very curious to see what they end up saying about this, because we have to know at some point what's going on. I mean, that's a senator.
Well, so here's the interesting part as a side. I know we don't like to talk politics, but Dianne Feinstein's also in the hospital. She's the senator from California who's 88 years old. We've talked about her. She's probably not going to run again. But we are now at a 49-49 tie in the Senate, which means it has to be broken by the vice president again, because neither of these senators, as far as we know, are capable of voting at this point if they're in the hospital. That may change, but there are rules now. I know in the House you have to be present to vote. That just passed since the Republicans took it over. Before that, you could vote by proxy. Now, because of COVID, that was dropped when the Republicans came in. You have to be present. I don't know the rule in the Senate right now if you have to be present, which means that's an advantage. It makes it much harder for the current president to get legislation through when you need the Senate to vote, and it always has to go to a tiebreaker. So it just takes one person, like a Joe Manchin, right, or
someone just has to
any Democrat, to say, I'm not going to vote for something, and now the legislation doesn't get through.
Right.
So this is also why it's important, and Democrats should be concerned too, not just Republicans. And citizens of the state of Pennsylvania have no representation right now other than one senator, because one is down. I don't know what he's doing. He supposedly submitted a bill or something
Yeah.
was submitted
Like,
from the hospital.
the
bed,
question
you know?
is,
Please.
So let's just think about that, right? You have a senator that's trying to pass something from a hospital bed.
Yeah.
When you say that
Not
in a
pass it,
sentence,
but generate.
generate, right? I mean, you generate a bill so that it one day gets passed, ideally, right?
Yes.
So I just think that's such an interesting statement for. I guess. Well, then again, I guess Roosevelt, when he was dying, kind of did the same thing, but.
Well, it's doable, but
Yeah,
in
it's
this
just
day
weird.
and
It's just
age-
weird to hear.
Right. I mean, they covered up a lot of things with FDR also. The fact that he was disabled was
Yeah.
not commonly known.
But
that
polio? Was his polio?
Yeah, polio.
Yeah.
But that was in the age when you didn't have the media you have today.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, we had
Yeah, isn't that wild? Like, so
Calvin Coolidge.
A
Who
lot of
suffered
people-
a stroke, and his wife was it
Right.
Coolidge or Wilson, Woodrow Wilson. One of them suffered a stroke, and basically the wife ran the country.
I always think it's kind of wild how most people didn't know that he had polio until he was dead, right? Remember?
Yeah, I think some people never
Yeah,
saw
which is
pictures
insane.
of him, and they would never have him
That's how different the times
in the
were back
wheelchair.
then.
He tried not to have photographs in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's an interesting situation because how long do you let it go before people have a right
Yeah.
to say, is this man in a coma? Can he execute the office that he took an oath to do if he's not able to?
Yeah.
Same thing with Senator Feinstein. How long is she going to be out? That's one less representative in California. And for us who are not in those states, it matters to us because they're doing legislation that affects our lives.
Right.
And you kind of want to know who the representatives are that are doing it.
So the second part of this is John Fetterman's wife leaves the country.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird,
It's
right?
very weird. Very
Your
weird.
husband's in the hospital. Kids, and the claim is she went to go take a vacation with the kids to get away from
to get
all
away
the
from
politics of all the
stress
questions
of
about
the
your
situation and the devastation
I
of the
kind
husband.
of get it, I guess, but it's just kind of a weird time to. Excuse me. It's just kind of a weird time to.
Right, and then they're texting out from had a great day zip lining today in upstate New York.
Very weird.
And then some, comment about how life is funny or
It's funny how life works or something like that.
It's a very, very odd situation, but
Yeah, so this guy, who's this? Colin Rugg, co-owner of Trending Politics on February 24th. Her husband gets hospitalized with severe depression, supposedly, and her first thought is to leave the country.
Yeah.
Kind of a harsh way of putting that, but it is just a very weird play.
Yeah.
To your husband literally needs someone right now, and you're like, I'm gonna go on vacation. Given I'm sure he has a lot of people around him that are constantly checking to the point where maybe his wife can't even check on him, but to leave the country when you could get a call tomorrow that's like, oh, your husband died of a stroke or something, like worst case scenario.
Right. Now, I don't know if that's their way of playing it, like she knew he wasn't going to die, he wasn't that serious, and she could leave. But she didn't say that in any of her messages, from what I could see. It was more of a general, we all need to get healthy kind of message.
This guy wrote, Gary Callahan, I don't know what the podcast is, but he says, competition is over, we have a winner. Giselle Fetterman edges out Meghan Markle and Jill Biden for worst wife in the world.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a weird play. I thought that was kind of hilarious, but...
Well, they were intimating at the beginning when he was obviously struggling when he became senator.
Yes, we knew he had problems. This isn't crazy.
Shapiro's just going to appoint Giselle to take his spot. Which, how much I love that when people just decide, oh, the spouse is qualified, like this is freaking England or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, but sometimes it does, unfortunately, and the governor can appoint somebody into that position in some of these states. Which was another reason why I'm like, why would she run off if, she might be next in line if something happens to the husband. So something's really weird about that story.
I do not believe it's going to be a depression thing. I think I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, that must be a cover. There's no way that you would be in the hospital for that long.
No,
for
the doctor
regular
said
depression. And clinical depression, I don't think that's possible without us knowing way earlier. Like that would have been something that was diagnosed years ago.
Well, and clinical depression, now you really got to say, you can't.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just impossible to keep that stamina.
Well, the drugs that are required to be taken when you have clinical depression is pretty intense stuff. You're not. I forget what it is. It's and
I'm sure pressure is not a good thing while you're in treatment. And what's more pressure, other than being president of the United States, than doing the job of a senator? So it's just. It's really a shame to see the state of our republic right now.
Yeah.
The quality of what's going on, it's pathetic. It really is. There was a time where at least some people had the decency. If you were going to hide it, fine. But then you made a point of putting people in there that were capable of doing it. You just don't let it slide.
The stuff that past senators from back Roosevelt, whatever, the problems that they had were like physical ailments. Like, hey, this guy just got shot.
Right.
Right? Nowadays, it's a lot of mental stuff, which could just be the times, but also you can't be running for governor or senator or whatever when you're mentally compromised.
Well,
physically
like I said,
compromised is different.
I have to say, in all fairness, President Wilson suffered, I think it was Wilson, Coolidge or Wilson, I think it was Wilson, suffered a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew it. They all thought he was fine because you didn't have media. I don't even think you didn't even have a State of the Union speech. I think he sent a letter over and it was read.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that came later on. But he suffered a stroke, and people in the know at the time knew that the wife was running the White House. She was the de facto president, signing things and blah, blah, blah in his name because he had a debilitating stroke. I don't remember the whole story if he ever came out of it or was it the end of his presidency. And again, it was either him or Coolidge. Without wasting time reading about it. But yeah, so it has happened where they've been mentally, comatose, kind of stroke. I don't know. I don't think he could do anything. I think.
Oh, really? He was that bad of a stroke?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a really
so he
bad
probably
stroke.
didn't write a lot of the stuff that we know of,
Yeah.
right?
He suffered a paralytic stroke while seeking American public support for the Treaty of Versailles.
Yeah.
In October 19.
So someone else in his cabinet must have done that because there's no way that he, with a stroke, is doing a whole treaty.
His incapacity lasted for the rest of his term of office, caused the worst crisis of presidential disability in American history.
Wow.
That was in the 1920.
Does it say how long into, like, how much left of his term did he have?
Let's see. He was president from 1913 to 1921. He suffered the stroke in 1919.
So he went almost 3 years with a stroke?
Yeah, he must have been a two-term.
What?
11 minus 3 is, he was a two-term president. So it was in
How
his second
did they
term.
cover that?
Well, you have to remember, there was no media back
I know,
then.
but still, I feel like
You
you'd
read an article in the
still...
paper about the president, and that was the headline of the day. The White House says today, the president...
Right. I still think that's
pardon me.
incredibly hard to get away with and keep a secret within government, basically.
He's also dyslexic as a child.
But I think it's like 4 out of the 5 people on Shark Tank are dyslexic. I'm pretty sure that's true. So like that doesn't really
A lot
count.
of bright people, or talented people, suffer dyslexia.
So what happens when I have dyslexia, dysmorphia? I have all the D's, Mom.
Yeah.
Am I a genius? Am I the next Einstein?
Stop.
I couldn't think of the what's the numbers one?
Dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia. That's right.
Yeah. I can't find any more info, but I'm pretty sure it was his wife. I'm reading about affairs and everything, so it must have been a real shit show. Like I said, we all think it's bad now, but that's because a lot of it is exposed.
Exposed, right.
Things that happened back then you didn't know about, and it sounds like it was all personal. It's when things start happening, like your family is doing deals with our enemies, that you have to really cross the line.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Anyhow.
So yeah, Fetterman. Hope he gets better, but we got to do something here in Pennsylvania. We can't have this as a senator because now it's going to affect the rest of the country.
Yeah.
That's basically.
Hey, as a Republican, I'm fine with it, or as a conservative, I'm fine with it because it makes it harder for them to pass their crazy legislation that cost me a lot of money.
You want to do your Yeezys one? This is also another interesting one.
Another follow-up one. Yeah, we talked about Kanye a few podcasts ago.
So Kanye, we won't rehash that one, but basically he lost his brand deal for his anti-Semitic rants, I guess you could say. And now basically
Speaking of crazy.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we want to rehire you." Like, think about that. He went on the most.
No, they didn't rehire him.
Yeah, they want to do a Yeezy sneakers in hot demand. They redid their contract. He's hired again. He's
From
part
Adidas?
of it. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
That's not in this article.
He's
It's not
back
part
in
of
there.
it.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can look it up. Like Adidas just re-entered the contract with him.
Well, this article made a comment that said they're stuck with all these Yeezy products that they can't sell,
Right.
and they were going to try and repurpose.
Oh, this
them.
is the opposite of what I
Well, no, this. What's the date on this one? Maybe yours is more recent. This is from February 27th. Okay, and It's from one of the sneaker companies called Impossible Kicks. The CEO was saying that the sneakers are among the top 3 sellers on his brands. Demand has surged 30% since October and November. The resale market is even higher because there's not a lot of supply. He's not churning them out like Adidas was.
Right.
So now they're being seen as collector's items. Naturally, if you lower demand, increase demand, and you lower supply, what's going to happen? The value's going to go up. People are paying a lot for these things. Most customers are unaware of his controversy, which I found kind of interesting.
Because they're young, right?
Yeah,
they're
probably because they're young people. Adidas expects $1.3 billion loss this year. Now, they didn't specify in the article if that was just from his products or just the company in general, but I'm sure that had an impact. Prices are going up because of the tightening supply, as I said. Let me carefully remove my wet papers.
Oh, okay. So this is what actually happened. A lot of people are saying that they've... So, hold on. What I said was I was regurgitating something from another podcast I saw.
Yeah.
So this is what they did. Kanye West and Adidas reached an agreement to sell the remaining $500 million in Yeezy leftovers. So they're not continuing the contract. What they're doing is they're getting rid of what's left.
Right.
So the deal is, I'm sure, like maybe 50-50 or whatever. So if they sell the $500 million worth in the agreement, Kanye gets $250, they get $250, and then they just go their separate ways. So it's not that the contract, it's a different contract.
Which is pretty incredible because they created now a huge market for this.
It all comes down to money. They do not. This just goes to show you they don't actually give a shit about the trans movement during February or whatever the hell it is. The black. They just care about
money.
The money in the end. This is kind of true. No matter how far down you go, even if it was Adolf saying this stuff, if it was making enough money, they go, hey, we do 50-50.
But through this controversy, like I just said, they created value.
Yeah,
because now they're not going to produce more. Now these are quote unquote special. Now it's even more special when Adidas announces we're not going to do any more. So what's left is going to be the last of the Yeezy through Adidas, and we're not producing anymore. So they've increased demand even more, and now the supply. You might see the price level off a little bit, but as people start buying them, price is going to go up and up because there's not going to be many yet.
I'm willing to bet that in that agreement they're going to sell Yeezy back or give Yeezys back to Kanye so that he can. Do it on his own because they're not going to make any money off of it anymore. So they said, "Hey, just take it back," and Kanye's just going to blast it through the roof.
Well, I don't know if that's true because these sneakers are now have some value.
They have value, but that's the question. Do they make the money and then just say, "Listen, we'll go our separate ways," so that Kanye can do his thing with Yeezy and we just don't want the headache anymore? Or do they keep the deal going? But I mean,
depending on how much money they make.
Exactly, that's the thing. But Adidas is going to get dragged for that one.
We'll see. A lot of these woke companies I've been seeing this past week in these articles.
There's a little difference between woke and someone who went way off the rails. I think we can all agree.
That's true.
On any side you're on, that Kanye went a little off.
But you had a good point about his contract.
Yes. So the point, and we talked about this as well. The thought process is the reason that Kanye went way off the rails was because he was locked into this Adidas deal that he could not get out of, and they said, hey, we're going to make knockoff Yeezys, even though we didn't talk to you about it. And Kanye's like, okay, I'll get out of my contract then. And they were like, no, you can't.
Right.
So he went on this anti-Semitic route, and it worked, but all the heat and backlash that he's getting might not have been worth it. It's like, hey, you might have went a little too far. That one hurts a little bit.
Took it too far.
But yeah.
Marriage is over.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things.
Don't talk to him anymore.
But for $500 million, maybe half that, I mean.
Yeah.
What are my kids' names again?
Yeah. Keep the kids.
I mean, money was never an issue for him. I don't think. It seems like the kids are more important because I remember there was a. Did you see the video back when this all first happened where he runs onto the soccer field to hug his kid?
Yeah.
Did you see that one? So apparently, like the news, someone was saying that they were there and they saw it. And it was like Kim.
Genuine.
Kim literally does not let him see the kids, so he just had to give his son a hug because he had to get going. I was like, oh shit.
Well, who knows what that whole background story is? But having said that, I don't see the kids in the news other than when they're with the mother. So I do give somebody credit for trying to keep them out of that intense limelight when parents are going through a very public divorce like that. So
I don't even know how many kids they have. I don't know what there's Northwest, East, and South. I don't know.
This is 4.
Maybe
4
with him.
I think so.
Maybe I'll take you. Okay, well look it up. God, just because Kim Kardashian. Let's see. I need to know. She's got Oh, I forgot that she was married 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's North, Chicago, Som, and Saint.
Yeah, 4 of them, and I think they're all his. Well, I mean, through
Yeah.
surrogate and whatnot, but I think
Yeah, they're all his. Well, considering they're all last name West. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Humphreys and Damian Thomas.
Yeah, those were her first.
Forgot about those. 4 years, 2 years.
Chris Humphreys was like a don't blink kind of marriage. That
Yeah,
lasted like
it was.
minutes.
Yeah, it lasted 2 years.
2? Mm.
Yeah, but the other one, ready for this one? We're going to way call back.
Yeah.
For when we talked about Mark Zuckerberg quietly buries the metaverse. Metaverse is done. It's over, guys. I told you. I'm predicting the future at this point. So this is interesting. So he did an announcement that, again, went super under wraps. Not a big deal, which is wild for Facebook, of course. Metaverse was not shut down, but they're not doing the whole VR thing anymore. Now they're working on a chatbot, a Facebook chatbot, which is also going to tank because at that point,
Metaverse commercials.
Really,
it's about a doctor talking about doing surgeries in the Metaverse. So they're trying to do it as a positive.
I just saw an article on a heart surgery that was done in a different state.
Yeah.
So the doctor was in California, and then they had a robot do the open heart surgery in like Kansas or something.
Okay.
So
that would scare me if I was the patient.
It wasn't a Metaverse thing. It was like a computer based,
yeah.
but
that's been around. They've been doing that. I don't know if they're doing intricate surgeries with that, but now maybe they've crossed over.
I mean, open heart surgery I would consider pretty intricate, but
it's not one you want to
so they're getting away from the whole Metaverse idea, not completely abandoning it, but they're moving like 90% around there, 75 to 90% of the team that was doing all that stuff, the Metaverse stuff, and moving it to this new. They're doing their own chatbot as well. Now this is the problem, and now I'm seeing like a Bitcoin sort of deal. Excuse me, Bitcoin sort of deal where it's how many chatbots are there going to be, and why do I need 5 now? Why can't I just use the one? ChatGPT. Google's having one. Bing's having one. Right. Facebook's now announced that they're having one.
And I wouldn't trust Google's. I wouldn't trust Facebook, and I don't know the Bing. Bing.
No one really uses Bing. I don't. I don't know what you use Bing for, but it's about sooner or later Yahoo's going to have one.
Right.
To your point, like even if people, Google's a search engine that you have to use. Facebook's not a search engine.
Right.
So what is this chat? What, just a fake friend? Like, I don't know what the point of that is, but I do think it's funny how we talked about like how long could this plummet, and it has. Hold on, let me see.
Never got the traction.
Yes. So they had a record cumulative loss. Oh, sorry. Reality Labs, the division housing Metaverse projects, recorded a cumulative loss of nearly $24 billion, including 13.7 just last year. Which is, I mean, that's exactly as we said. How long can you be in the negative billions of dollars before investors go, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah, cut your losses and get out.
And remember, a couple months ago we talked about that article where it said it was right when Elon fired all those people, and then Facebook does it, and they were like, this is the right way to fire people. If he made this decision 3 months ago when they were only $22 billion in the hole, all those workers would probably not be fired for a good amount of them.
Yeah, but if you made the decision to shut it down, eventually they're going to have to find another job or be moved somewhere else. You don't need that many workers to shut
but
down.
he moved the workers that were there.
Oh, they were already out?
So he could have just moved. He could have reallocated all those, because I'm sure he's doing hiring now for the same jobs that he just fired people for the actual building of this chatbot.
Oh.
Again, is it 50 people or is it 500 people?
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is or how many people you need to make a working chatbot, but I think I would say to whoever wrote that article, hey, how's he doing now? You know?
Right, and a chatbot's not like a widget, so it's kind of
it's weird. I don't know what you do with it.
It's a new type of industry where the industry has to figure out the right number, right? So the people starting this new business, if you will, the AI business, nobody really knows. There's no you don't learn at Harvard. Okay, this is how many employees you need to start a GPI, Chat GPI, or Open AI. So it's kind of a trial and error situation where somebody like a Facebook, if he does it, he'll have his experiences, and then you compare it with what Elon Musk does with Open AI, and eventually somebody's going to study these businesses and say, okay, The best way to bring one online is to have X number of
Yeah.
employees if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be a very skewed chatbot in the sense of
How could you trust anything
Like,
coming out of Facebook?
my
it's not
question
happening.
is, well, that's what I mean. Where is
Google,
it
forget
getting
it.
it from? Like, and same thing with Google. We already have ChatGPT, right? That was made by OpenAI. That's the company that made it.
Mm-hmm.
Google, to make a good chatbot, has to go to OpenAI and say, "Hey, can you show us how I did this so we can make our own?"
Well, unless they
So-
draw from the same resources that OpenAI
Right,
does.
you hire those guys, and then all of a sudden you just have a bunch of chat GPTs that are skewed for Google, right?
Yeah.
And then vice versa for Facebook, for Yahoo, for whatever.
Right.
So why would I ever use anything besides chat GPT?
Exactly.
So Google and Facebook, you might as well stop.
Right.
Go do something else.
Right.
Continue
Besides
with
the fact
Metaverse.
that, to your point, so if you're going to create some platform that uses Google's information, right, and pulls it from other data from other places, you can't trust Google because they're going to want to highlight their information first, right? Which
Right.
we know they have a habit of doing. It's been proven that they will elevate certain search items over others. So, as I say, I wouldn't trust what's ever coming out of Google AI. I wouldn't trust what's coming out of Facebook AI. They've been known to manipulate the information they currently have on their
Right.
platforms.
So what do we do? Like,
Yeah.
why would I ever touch a Google or Yahoo or a Bing? I mean, some people will probably, like, if I was really looking for information,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably have to go straight to ChatGPT rather than a Google anymore. I think that's
And-
their
and
fear.
but
People are
we've
going to
also
start
found
looking
that-
through.
But we've even found that ChatGPT has problems.
Yes, but I would rather problems in the sense of just too much information being compiled into a wrong answer than getting the same answer from a specific company that's already skewed.
Right,
See what I'm
but there's
saying?
also bias. Like that's what I was saying. That it's not just about the wrong answer. It's a biased answer. That's a problem that they're seeing already in OpenAI and ChatGPT. We talked about that at the last podcast.
Right. But is it like bias to me would be someone or something is skewing the data,
Yeah.
right? But that's not on OpenAI because its job is to compile all the data.
That's why they were
Right.
saying it's crap because when you skew data,
Right.
this is the irony, right? It's proving a point where there's only a truth.
Right.
Right? There's only a fact. Okay? You may not like the fact. You could talk about the fact. You could use the fact towards your, but a fact is a fact. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah.
When GPT knows it's 2 plus 2 is 4, but somebody goes in and says, yeah, but sometimes it could be 5.
Right, that's what I mean.
Now
So
ChatGPT is crap because it confuses itself.
that's what we're talking about. It's not ChatGPT's fault. It's wherever it's getting the information from.
Right.
So the idea is, again, I don't know how exactly or where it gets the information from, but it's got to be pulling information from somewhere, right? Is it Google? Is it Bing? Is it whatever? My guess is it's all of them.
I think. Yeah.
Which I think would give me a better answer, even if it's the wrong answer, than getting the same answer on Google, right? If I use a Google bot, it's only giving me
Well, right, but I think it's going to eventually affect the quality of the
Right.
the whatever AI it is.
Well, again, this goes back to use case, right? It
Yeah.
was never supposed to be used for opinion questions. It's
Right.
used for 2 plus 2 is 4,
Right.
unless it's a different circumstance where there's a factor thrown in.
But
right?
what you're missing the point is people that manipulate the data, the people that manipulate the facts, they think that is not 2 plus 2 is not 4. It
Right.
can be 5.
Right.
And that's where we have a problem because that's not data, right?
Well, I
And
think
if you do-
I think in reality, though, I mean, the questions that it is made for are not questions that are like 2 plus 2 equals 4. The questions that
No,
you're
just
supposed to
as
be
an example.
right, but it's kind of a harsh example in the sense of when it comes to what it's actually used for, which is coding, which is software development. There's no right or wrong answer. There's only a right answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're asking it questions that can be subjugated for opinion,
Yeah.
that's where the flaw is. Again, it's not made for that.
Right.
So
But we see it as subjugated for opinion.
Right.
Others see it as, oh no, that's because the facts are wrong.
right, that's the
And
scary
that's what-
thought. That's a very
Right.
scary thought when
Right.
people look at facts and go, "Nah, that's all right."
Well, but that people have been doing that, and they've been shut down for saying things like that on platforms. But now, when you do it with GP, now you're seeing with like OpenAI and with ChatGPT, which I guess is what OpenAI is called. it's conflicting.
OpenAI is the company.
Right, they have
ChatGPT
ChatGPT.
is the.
It's conflicting itself. It's in conflict with itself. So it's producing questionable data when you do get it. Because we read it last week. Some of the garbage is getting out of this thing, and this.
But again, it's tough because you're throwing in garbage and getting out garbage. You're using it for something that it's not supposed to be used for.
Right.
So for you to put an opinionated question in and then go, man, ChatGPT sucks.
Right.
That's not fair because that's not what it's made for. That's the part that always annoys me about.
Right. It's
when
only
people
as
complain
good.
about ChatGPT.
Right.
It's not made for writing kids' books. It's made for solving code. There's a line of code that's missing, and I don't know where I messed up.
Well, but that's the original intent. It's like we said with the internet. The original, it wasn't meant for teenage girls to go on and bash each other and bully each other.
But it got to the point.
That's what it evolves to the next level. Now, I didn't read this article, so I didn't bring it for tonight. But since we're talking about it, William Eden wrote, it's a whole. The gist of it is basically he's like, everybody's panicking over AI, like it's going to be the end of the world or whatever. And he goes on to talk about, and he gives facts. I'm going to read it for the next one. I won't do it today, but it's interesting because he's like, everybody's putting so much into this ChatGPT and all this OpenAI stuff. Basically, he's saying, it's just going to ruin itself, like everything else.
Yeah, that's what I said, right? It's going to collapse on itself.
Collapse on itself, and it's not worth panicking over because. For that reason, it's not being used basically
for what it's used for,
as
right?
a benefit. Once you start to turn
all because it's open to the people doesn't mean that every person should be using it, because you're not using it for anything that's.
Well, I have a problem with that statement, and I don't think you mean it that way. Every person shouldn't want to use it. I think everybody should have access to it.
Yeah,
and everybody
sure,
should be able to put data into it if that's how it works.
But you can't expect it to solve your problems. What I mean is, if I'm a scientist and I have to figure out some crazy equation that thousands of scientists before me have worked on, and I can't read through all their data because I can't find it in my library.
Right.
I go to ChatGPT, throw the formula in, and it gives me a couple ideas of what I can use to solve this equation.
Right.
Same with coding.
Right.
It's not, hey, I need to publish a children's book, make a story for me.
Right.
That's what I mean. You should not be using it if you plan on publishing books and making money.
Okay, that's different because I don't like the way you said it. It was the problem with the way you said that. I don't want just certain people putting data on because that's how you wind up with. Like,
I'm not talking
about.
I'm not talking about putting data. I'm talking about pulling the data.
Well, yeah, okay, that's
again,
fine.
But
I think everybody should have access to it to pull data.
Right. The only data, though, that I think should be in there, in ChatGPT or OpenAI's, are things that are not subject for question. So,
well, we have learned we can't live in that kind of universe. That's great that you think that, but it's naive because now you get into what information are you going to pull? Are you going to pull, let's use, for example, climate change.
But see, that's
Are you going to pull data
but
that is
again,
questionable?
it's not made for that stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's not made for that. It's not made for climate change.
Why,
it's made
why
for,
isn't it made for a supplement?
It's made
for writing an article or for generating for scientists. I need data on climate for the last
It's not data
years.
that I was supposed to be pulling, though. That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's okay. It depends on your definition of data, but it's not asking for. The point of ChatGPT was before it was anything else. It was just to do like Python code.
Yeah.
It wasn't for anything else. So you throw your code in. The code's too long and there's too many redundancies. So it basically takes it, compiles it, and turns it into something smaller so that it still does the right thing.
Okay, but that's for one type of information. But now they're saying there must be pathways for other things.
No, remember, ChatGPT is just a coding device that turns words into data that you could pull.
Okay.
So you putting in words in general, any question, you're not supposed to do that. That's not the point of it. The point of it was to throw in code and it spits out the code back to you.
Well, that might have been the original intent. Right. Like I said, the internet
that's the only intent. That's the point of it.
But nobody put the, well, apparently not, because now you can generate stories
because that's code. It's not stories. That's the thing. You're seeing it as people writing stuff in and getting something out, asking it questions.
What is writing code? Isn't that taking data?
It's got to be able to. It's basically saying, okay, how do I put this? because there's more to it than people think of. Just like, oh, just ask it questions. It's running a code constantly.
Yeah.
Right. That is pulling from the internet what the best answer is for that code.
Yeah.
So if you ask it a question, it's not that it's answering your question. It's trying to find a code or build a code to answer that question.
Okay.
Right? Even though you see it as letters and, oh, this guy just made a whole text document of a book or whatever, ChatGPT sees it as a code. It's supposed to be doing a code.
Okay.
It just knows that code is looking for words.
Yeah, it doesn't know that it made a story, but it gives you the
So that's why
information
there's
to
so
do it.
many problems, because it's not actually answering a question that you ask it. What it's doing is it's using code to answer the question.
Yeah.
It's not a robot that thinks for itself. It's not a brain. It just knows where it's grabbing from and where it's supposed to grab from. So when people go, oh, well, my story's not adding up and they're all the same, it's because it's pulling the same code.
Yeah.
So when you make Call of Duty, when you make a Python code just for a water heater.
Then,
like,
to your point, I don't think it could be used for creative purposes.
that's
like
exactly what I'm saying.
books.
It's not for that.
But you should still be able to give me the write a code for climate change, right? Or some sort of.
Yeah, it'll give it to you it's supposed to give it to you as an equation.
Okay.
To your point, where are you getting that equation from? Yes,
Right.
that's different.
Right.
But again, that's not the use case. You're not supposed to be asking it, give me climate change. It's E=mc squared. That's the code I was looking for.
But they're trying to take it away from coding and use that same process and pathway and apply it to other, let's say, scientific things.
Yeah.
So, for instance, climate issues, questions about climate. Write me a code to fix, climate, whatever, glaciers, whatever. It's going to do its thing and spit out that information.
Right.
It's going to do its thing based on coding, and that coding would be based on data.
Yeah, sure, but
Right? My only
ChatGPT,
issue
the best
was
way to
wherever that data is coming from. I don't like the idea, and I don't think you meant it that way, but the way you put it was like not everybody should have access to that information.
Everyone should have access to the information. They shouldn't have access to put data on.
Yes,
for it
I
to pull.
agree.
Yes.
But then who's going to do it?
That's the question, right? So that's why ChatGPT, and what I was saying was it's not made for opinionated data where there's a lot of questions. It was made for, there's a fact here that cannot be changed, a constant that cannot be changed. This will help you find the answer to what you're calling for. Not climate change. Like E=mc squared. 9 + 9 = 18.
Right.
Like stuff that cannot be changed no matter what.
Okay.
Now, are there other instances where 2 + 2 can equal 5? Well, ChatGPT, you would say, I need 2 + 2, but I need the full equation of why it would equal 5. And again, I'm sure there's some scientific method as to how it gives you 5, but you have to say that to it. You have to say this is what you're looking for.
Well, or it could also say there is no mathematical way that 2
Which
+
is
2
what it's
equal
supposed to do.
5.
Yes. So that could mean that someone hasn't solved that answer yet, and it would take I think anything that goes into ChatGPT needs to be approved by many I guess scientists or people in that field as a constant, and that's where the answer is.
Well, like I said, that's where I have problems. That's where.
But where
I'm
else
not
do you get it
comfortable.
for?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you either have to have it open to every scientist out there to
Right.
put their data, or who's going to decide who those scientists are?
Well, scientists is just an example. Again, the
I'm
main
saying that is an
priority, though, besides scientists,
Right.
was for coding. And with coding, there's no questions. There's no and, if, buts, or ors.
Right. But
'Cause
if
you're
they're going
making
to
code.
expand it to other type of data and information, it's only as good as what you
whatever
put
you
in
throw in, yeah.
and who is throwing it in.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into exactly where we're at with social media.
Right.
That was supposed to be a great open platform, just an pure exchanging of ideas.
Right.
And that got
But
completely
what I'm
adulterated.
saying is it just annoys me when people go, oh, man, it's not that good because it didn't pass this test. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. It's not made for answering test questions.
But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. So that's how people realize there are limitations to it. It's
Yeah,
not going
which
to
is
take
good.
over the world.
Right, but when you say ChatGPT sucks because it didn't get 100% on your
Right,
multiple
they're not
choice math
understanding
test.
what ChatGPT. But you also have to be careful what it's being sold to people as too, right? It can write your papers. It could do your homework. It could do all these
But that's
wonderful
not
things.
That's not what it's sold for. That's just what people use it for. To your point, what's going to end up happening is there's more people in the world than
That's how you make
scientists.
money from people, everyday people using it for their needs,
Well, it's
right?
free, but
Well, whatever, but that's how it. Well, somewhere along the line, it's going to generate some
Google
income
and
somehow.
Google and Facebook are going to generate. I
Yeah,
guarantee you,
they'll
they're going to
figure
get
out
paid
a way
for
to
it.
make money off these
Hey,
things.
listen, guys, if you're paying for a chat GPT from Google and Facebook, reevaluate. Like, do something. You're doing something wrong.
Right.
But speaking of shutting down and codes and stuff.
By the way, did we do this article?
Which one?
I remember reading it, but maybe we never did it on the podcast. I have to find it. Cryptocurrency is using AI to generate the computers.
We talked about that when we
okay.
first started because it was how do you make a cryptocurrency they wanted to tip the scales for crypto. I won't go deep into crypto because we don't have the article, but basically when you mine cryptocurrencies, you're essentially pulling money from a lottery. So you put in your every computer you have.
But you're doing those algorithms, right? Isn't that
so
what
I'm trying to explain it in layman's terms, where basically every computer you own is a raffle ticket that you throw in.
Yeah.
X amount of time goes by, they do the raffle. If maybe you'll get it, maybe you'll get a token out of it, right? That's why there's mining facilities that have hundreds of mining computers,
right?
Because that's 100 computers in that hat, 100 raffle tickets in that hat. So what they want to do is they want to take an algorithm, basically tweak the algorithm that's already there, and then go, how do we tip it so that this one computer is 3 raffle tickets or 5 raffle tickets, or worse, 100% of the raffle tickets.
Right.
So now one person's getting all the crypto. That's the fear. So they want to tweak the algorithm.
Right.
Or make a new crypto, which is kind of the same idea. So that's we talked about it. It's never going to happen.
We did talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew somebody was doing it. I just didn't know.
It's not a
if
good
I read
idea.
it and we
That's
went
a
through it.
scary road to go down in the crypto industry. That to me, that would be what kills the crypto industry from a mining perspective.
Yeah.
Someone has to
The
mine.
market's been killing it.
Some people have to. Yeah, but when you have 100,000 Bitcoin, you're still a billionaire.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of money.
if you can guarantee that you're getting 100% of the cryptocurrency, 100% of the time, I mean, that's like winning the lottery every day.
And that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Especially it's devalues
So that's
itself.
the fear. That's the fear of getting technically though, you don't need a ChatGPT to do that. You just need someone who can rebuild an algorithm from scratch,
right.
make your own crypto, pump it up to make it worth X amount of dollars, and then just mine it all. But there's some legality to you can't be the owner and mine it or something like that. There's some weird rules behind
Regulations.
it. Yeah, some weird regulations, even though it's unregulated.
Regulations.
It's tough. Well, think about it, right? You can't be the owner of a company, bump it up to 1,000 like a coin, make 50,000 coins.
Yeah, set your own value.
Yeah,
You can't do
it's
that.
weird. There's a lot to it. Like I remember for our company, I gotta be careful with what I say here. So with our company, making it was a little bit. There was more to it than I expected.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not as simple as people think it is. Oh, I'm just going to mine some coins.
Exactly. And that shuts down companies. Speaking of shutting down,
there you go.
Amazon to shut down all Amazon Go stores in San Francisco. I forgot these existed.
Yeah.
Do you remember these? So they did this probably 4 years ago, I would say, where basically they made these stores that would... You could buy stuff there, but if you didn't want to buy stuff, you can go around with your phone and like scan the things you want, and instantaneously it would put it in a box basically and send it to your house. So it was like on the go shopping and say, this is what I want, this is what I want, and it'll mail it to your house by the time you get home from
I
work.
didn't even know they had that.
It's a cool idea, but it's like, or I could just go to Amazon.com and do the same thing, right? This is more so for food stuff. So if you wanted to do,
they started.
What ends up happening though is people just end up fast fooding anyway. They're not going to cook it if they're on the go so much that they have to. Like if they're not stopping to actually grab the groceries and put them in, they're probably not going to be cooking either, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So these stores are shutting down like crazy. They're not saying that this is the end of the stores. I mean, they have unlimited money, so it really doesn't matter. But I just thought that was interesting because I totally forgot about these. I forgot that they were a thing.
I don't know that the Amazon, they were really pushing the Amazon food store grocery business. It's kind of tough to buy groceries that way.
It is.
I'm not a big fan. I don't even like when you ask people to shop for you. Apparently you do rate them, so they tend to buy the best stuff and whatnot. But you know, sometimes you want the best quality, like fruits and vegetables, and other times you don't mind mediocre quality for other stuff. And you lose that control when you have somebody buying for you. I guess you can tweak it to some extent. So I never really understood the plus to the Amazon food side.
Amazon food. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just don't when I hear Amazon, I don't think, hey, let me walk to the store. I think online shopping.
Right, that was the
That's the
perk.
whole point of it.
I will say this though: sometimes there's stuff that you buy online, whether it's Amazon or wherever, you would like to see it first.
No, right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Because
That
it's
is true.
very hard for people out there shopping. You wouldn't know this because you don't shop that much. It's amazing nowadays.
I have
You
one
go
of
out.
I have one of the maids do it for me. It's,
Yeah. It's so you never find what you want at the stores anymore.
yeah.
The selections are very limited. They have a lot of very little. So everyone's going more the bulk route, but it's not like you get a huge assortment or huge selections anymore.
Right.
Or some places that have it, they're low on supply. So, it drives me crazy, but I have to say it can be easy to get whatever you want when you want the next day from Amazon. Not that I'm plugging them.
Yeah.
Please sponsor us.
Amazon, yeah. I don't know if we could. I don't know what kind of connections we have to Amazon, but yeah, that would be sick. Anyway, what's this one about? Kung Fu Nuns?
Kung Fu Nuns of Nepal smash convention. It's an interesting story.
Okay.
So this is at the Druk, D-R-U-K, Amitabha Nunnery. I can't pronounce it, but overlooking Kathmandu in Nepal.
Okay.
So it's part of an 800-year-old Buddhist sect called Drukpa, which means it's Tibetan for dragon. They use it to break the gender barrier and stay in top physical shape. The teacher's a 34-year-old woman named Lhamo, L-H-A-M-O. She was intrigued by the women that would march in her village.
Okay, you're dancing around the real question here.
What?
Do these nuns kick ass or not?
Apparently, they're really holding their own. They were women in general were forbidden to be in
Right.
any high level in the Buddhist faith. They not only train in kung fu, but they meditate. They lead prayers, and interestingly enough, they will work for a month as part of their regular chores, picking up litter and going around and talking to everybody about ecology.
That's nice.
And climate change and everything else. It was introduced to Kung Fu, the group, the women, in 2008 by Vietnam followers. They came over to learn scripture and prayer and to learn how to play instruments. In exchange, they taught the women at this Buddhist colony how to do Kung Fu. Many conservatives across threaten them constantly. They don't like the idea of women, let alone women warriors, being considered Buddhist monks. But it's been great for them. And more people want to join them from all over the world. Mexico, Ireland, Germany, the U.S. all have people interested in becoming Buddhist Kung Fu nuns. They wake at 3 a.m. They meditate. What? They walk before they go down to the temple.
3 a.m.
And they pray for a good portion of the day. And then they do some training. They do sword training.
Wow.
So it's been great for physical. And she feels they still get a lot of nasty comments, threats to them. You shouldn't be
Go
doing
walk
this.
up to them, I dare you.
Right. Well, that was her.
Get your shin kicked in.
Right, that was her thing. She's like, now they take us more seriously because we've proven that we're pretty good at what we do. And from her perspective and the other women, it makes them feel really good because they're part of a team. She went there when she was young.
Right.
And she wanted to go. Her uncle said no because she was a orphan. Her uncle took her in. Uncle said no, and then when she got to a certain age, she just left one day with the woman who formed it. Wang Chen was her name. Saw her in the village one day, went with her, and never went home again. She just
You want to go kick some ass with me?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's cool. It's just a weird practice.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Speaking of health, perfect segue. I'll go right to the health one. 5 exercise habits that destroy your body after 50. So this one's for our older audience. Okay, would you like to take a guess on what the 5 are? It's technically 4.
See, that's why I don't exercise, because I'm worried I'm going to do the ones that destroy me.
These are just general. I'll tell you this. Number 5 is you're skipping exercise altogether. So they really just needed a number 5.
Yeah, it's goofy.
Okay, so you're avoiding the weight room. More weights.
Yeah, that's supposed to be very good, especially for osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis, yes. That's exactly what they said.
Ding, ding, ding.
You're skipping mobility work. Now, this is mine and Dad's problem. Mobility.
Work.
So your flexibility and all that stuff. My flexibility is god awful. I don't know if I've ever shown. Let me see. I don't know if I'm in frame, but my flexibility is awful. Ready? That's as far as I can
Right.
go.
You get that from your father's
yes.
side.
That's why. Yeah, my flexibility is.
And we have
ass.
proven that from the orthopedist.
That's
he
why
told
my
you that,
deadlift
right?
is so bad. When I went to my orthopedist back, so when I was a freshman in high school,
Yeah.
I pulled my back so bad, which for 15, like it was unheard of to pull your back. I had to wear a weight belt for all like a month. It felt like at school, and I was like, "Look at that fucking loser."
Right, but hey. But when we went to the orthopedist, and he was a sports doctor, right?
Yeah, he's like, "This
great
is
guy.
I've never seen what was his?" He was like, "I've never seen someone so tight and
Well,
flexible." I was
no,
like,
he wasn't surprised by it, but interestingly enough, he says we do see a genetic link to this for people that are that inflexible.
yeah, the doctor was. He was like,
Muscular
"Man, you're
freak."
not good at this." I was like, "Thanks." I was like, "Thanks, buddy." Really making me feel good. But yes, so skipping mobility. I've tried stretching a little bit more. I try stretch. You know what I like doing? Well, I like doing it in the shower with the heat.
Well, the heat is.
I'll stretch in the shower. We
Well,
have
when
this.
you-
We have this shower that's like the size of this room. So I like to. I can do laps in there.
Yeah. I just think for stretching, you can eventually get there because muscles are kind of like rubber bands. The more you just don't want
Yeah,
to
I call
do
bullshit
too
on
much
that.
and it
I
breaks.
refuse to.
If you do a little bit, you'll be surprised. But you have to keep it
I
up.
only stretch on leg day. Like when I do legs, that's when I really stretch. But every day in the shower, I'll try and like touch my toes, and that feels good because of the heat, I guess.
Well, if you push it just a little bit more every day, eventually you'll get.
Yeah, that's
you
the
need
thing
to
though. I
be.
feel like I can't push any harder.
Well, no, I mean.
Otherwise,
you
I get
gotta
hemorrhoids.
keep- I'm gonna hear you screaming in the shower. I pulled a muscle. Oh my god.
So that's the second one. Number 3, you're focusing too much on isolation movements. So that's like
Working one muscle.
no,
versus the whole team.
like you're focusing too much on the actual
cookies.
development. Yeah, the actual development of muscle rather than just hey, this is for my health. So like for me, I'm young enough where I could do isolations, like perfect form, only work one muscle.
I know,
Whereas,
but you're wheezing when you go up and down the stairs just to go get those pens for me.
that's called obesity. So yeah, you like at a certain age, you don't have to be doing isolations anymore. I think that's a tough one. I really don't know if that's true or not. It definitely does help the joints. Like
Remember,
I
this
think
is for over 50.
over 50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
that's
yeah,
what I mean. But I know 50-year-olds at the gym that I told you there's a lady at our gym who's 80 years old who still deadlifts,
Yeah.
and she's strong as
well,
shit.
I think over 50 you are more health conscious versus isolation. So I disagree with that comment for over 50. I don't think they're as much into I'm really going to bulk up my arms today. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
I
they
don't think
don't
that's
do
a
that,
process-
but I
process,
think it's
yeah.
more for health,
Yeah.
more overall health and well-being.
Yeah, I think if you're someone that's constantly working out and has been constantly working out your whole life, it probably won't affect you because your body's so used to it. But
Yeah.
for that person that's working out like once a week their whole life, it's probably not a good idea if I were to guess. Just because I don't know if your joints would be able to take the isolation.
Well, I'm going to tell you, especially after 50, they're not working out once a week. You're either into it or you're not.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
agreed.
nobody's going to bother unless it's purely for social reasons to go play tennis with the girls kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's not really exercise.
exercise.
No, it's not exercise at all. So for people that really want to maintain a certain level, not saying Mr. Universe or whatever, they're not doing it once a week. And I think they're doing it for overall health.
The last one's actually an interesting one. You're only walking on stable surfaces. So this is an interesting one because shout out to Liver King. Liver King does the 9 ancestral tenets. And one of the things that he says, and a lot of other doctors say, I've noticed in the health industry, is every day you should be standing on the grass barefoot. Like apparently there's something good every morning about your feet actually walking on the ground, if that makes sense. So not pavement, not something that's flat, like actual gravel
Uneven
or
earth.
something that's uneven. Something about it is just great for the muscles. Same with the eyes. There's something about sunlight. Is it sunlight instant first thing in the morning or something like that? But basically, if the first thing you look at is the sun, helps you a lot.
Well,
Like,
you
it's
don't look at
really
the
good.
sun.
Well, you
ever,
look at
but-
sunlight, I should say.
Okay.
So go out and touch grass, basically.
Yeah, go walk
So,
around
yeah.
barefoot in the grass. Take your shoes off.
I thought that
walk
was
around.
really interesting. I was like, oh, flat ground is not like I don't know when the last time was I walked on anything that was flat. Like,
Well,
when was
I
the
know
last
it's
time?
not good to run on uneven ground, but some people like to hike.
Yeah.
And hiking is very good exercise, especially for older people, because you use a lot of muscle groups to do that. But you know, that whole list kind of discounts things like swimming. You don't touch the ground at all. You do build muscles with swimming.
Right.
And it is cardio.
I think maybe because they assume after 50 you're not swimming. Like,
I
it's too much
disagree.
work.
I think
I
a lot
disagree
more
too,
older
but
people do swim
my
because
guess
it
is
works all
that's
the muscles, and you have the help of the water.
Yeah.
It's less strain on your joints and whatnot.
Swimming's an amazing workout. You don't realize how much you're sweating when you swim.
Right, because the water, but it's also great because
you'll never see a fat professional swimmer. Like,
true.
Yeah. They're all in crazy shape. My friend Gina shows me, her son's a D1 swimmer. Mm-hmm. She'll show me the team, and the guy's like, this guy looked like, I'm not even kidding you, like low budget Chris Hemsworth, like just without the muscle, but he was in unbelievable shape.
Yeah, swimmers are in good shape.
And I was like, dear God.
Yeah. Swimmers, rowers another group that's really big into.
A lot of the ones that when you're after 50, you have a lot of heart problems. Speaking of heart problems.
Oh, there you go.
So there's this new drug. Not drug. Well, I guess it's a drug that improves heart health. So bempotic acid, I believe it's called, improves heart health in patients who can't tolerate statins. So this is for people with high cholesterol, heart cholesterol specifically. Nowadays, we know that there's a difference between heart cholesterol and blood cholesterol. Mm-hmm. But this is specifically for heart cholesterol. So a lot of people, when you have high testosterone, high cholesterol, have to take something called statins. And statins, I don't actually know what they do. I just know that they bring your cholesterol down. The problem is...
They allegedly do. There are a lot of doctors out there that say statins are a scam.
Yeah. Or it's just too strong and like the benefits don't outweigh the cons.
Yeah, you get a lot of people have back pains. They get
a lot of muscle pains, apparently.
Yeah.
So what they're doing now is they're prescribing bempedoic acid. And basically what it is, it's a lighter statin that does a very good job at bringing down the cholesterol levels with less of a negative side effect. The problem is it's not allegedly, it's not as strong as a statin. So if you have high levels of cholesterol where like you're hospitalized, it's not going to work. But if you're someone that just has naturally high cholesterol and blood pressure and you start taking this acid, I'm just going to call it acid, brings it down pretty well, and like less injuries, and like the muscle soreness is the biggest complaint. So strongly recommend if you have high cholesterol.
Who makes it?
There's a bunch. I saw, let me look it up. I saw one was like Nexon or something like that. It wasn't
I just want to make sure it's not one of the Pfizer, Moderna.
I'm sure they have a version, but
I'm sure they do.
We'll see. Let's see. Ben, I wish I could just spell the damn thing. Holy, what's the control? Like, Max, I'm gonna say it. Macintosh sucks, dude. I hate the button on this thing. There we go. I like the. Why is command even a button? Get it out. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, PC Master Race, Mom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Formula C9H3605. Just so you know. Acid better than statins. The bottom. Oh, well, this is it. Why is it better than statins? The bottom line is that for patients who cannot tolerate statins, can offer them an alternative. A cardiologist in Cleveland said, and leader of a study. Biopic avoids the muscle weakening issues of statins because it doesn't activate in all cells, just in the liver. So this is high cholesterol, the liver, and the heart. Okay. So I guess statins does full body, but interesting. So if you know anyone who has high cholesterol, ask your doctor. Hey, should I be taking these? But you don't have any more, right?
No, I only did this.
So the only one this one was kind of a funny article to me, but NASA's DART spacecraft took out over 1,000 tons of rock from its targeted asteroid. So I guess there's a satellite, the NASA DART. This is why I thought this was funny, right? So when you hear a NASA satellite, a DART, taking out asteroids, how do you think it does it?
Breaks them up?
Yeah. How do you think it does it?
It's a dart, so you shoot it at the asteroid and it blows up.
So it's literally a satellite that's job is to kamikaze into an asteroid. I was expecting like a laser that cuts through the rock or something. No,
little darts that blast them. They must be huge darts.
Yeah.
Loaded with
massive.
what kind of nuclear fission material to blow them up.
Apparently it's doing a very good job at destroying these asteroids. But it's not really made to destroy, it's made to divert the asteroid.
So they don't hit us.
Yeah,
and destroy our
exactly.
Earth.
Even though I don't know if it was ever really a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I know we have a giant asteroid belt above us.
Well, they always talk about
we've gone this long
that
without.
asteroid's going to hit the Earth one of these days. They scare you every
If we
now
don't
and then.
change climate, that asteroid.
Please, don't start on that.
Took out over 1,000 tons of rock. So I'm a little confused by the article in the sense of, like, is it one dart that's able to do a couple hits? Like, it doesn't really do a great job at saying what it does.
I can't believe we have the money to do multiple.
That's what I mean.
darts.
That's what I mean. Each one's got to be $1 billion. I'm like, let's take $1 billion and just chuck it at a meteor. It's like, how does that make any sense?
You know that when Dad was down in where'd he go? Orlando, right? When he went down to Orlando, he went to the NASA museum down there. Okay.
Yeah.
It was part of the program. Thought it was a good idea. If I had gone with him, probably would have been there too.
Yeah.
Obviously, NASA doesn't have money, and if they did not put it into upgrading this museum.
Yeah.
He said it's like something out of the 1970s or 80s. No kid's gonna want to be there because it's not interactive. It's not as good as even the Smithsonian. At least we went to that one, the aeronautics. So I'm doubting they have the money to be put into darts, that multiple ones that break up asteroids in outer space.
I wish it just said. Yeah, I wish it said how big the darts are. But right, this is the sentence. Apparently, one of the dart's solar panels hit this meteor first before its body fully collided with the rock at 3.7 miles per second. It's like, so we're just kamikazing millions and millions, probably billions of dollars into. If asteroids were $20, I'd be like, or I'm sorry, asteroids. If these ships were $20, I'd go, okay. Like, if it was something this small. Yeah. Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe that's enough in outer space to move
something. Is this a true article, or is this somebody, like, saying we should do it?
No. They already did this, so this just happened. Scientists confirmed that the dart's impact method can be used to protect Earth from planet-killing asteroids. Last year, NASA's Space Star successfully completed its mission to collide with an asteroid called Dimorphos. Like, it's just so wild to me that I was like, lasers, maybe it shoots rockets, which are probably cheaper than fucking launching a satellite into a rock. This is going to cost us $5 billion, guys.
Right?
It doesn't make sense.
It's our money.
Right, like, I feel like there's so many better ways of doing this. But again, I might totally be missing this. I need, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson to explain to me how these darts work.
Feel free to call in.
Yeah,
our
please, there's something. Because someone has to explain to me. We're just taking billions of dollars for something to throw up and then just go, boom, into a rock.
Yeah, that seems a little ridiculous.
It lasts a day. It's just so dumb.
Oh my God,
Mr. President, we need funding for our satellite. What's the plan? We're gonna take it.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
We're gonna freaking sling it into an asteroid so that it moves 5 degrees to the left.
So I do punch them, and they all just like slam into each other, make another big asteroid.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's coming back at us.
Right. All that debris falling down.
God.
Oh man.
I just thought that was so funny one to end it on. But
please let land in Iceland, not us.
You ready for some hot cakes?
Yeah.
So we only had one this week from viewers, which was Laffy asked, where was it? Where's my hot cake?
Yes.
Laffy. Most people who pick up a 7-string guitar don't actually need the 7th string or make good use of it. Exponentially more true for 8 strings. Okay. So have you ever seen an 8-string guitar?
I don't know. I was watching a music piece. I can't remember what it was. Handel's Messiah, maybe, an orchestra.
Want to hand me my guitar?
And the guy had one of those enormous. It wasn't called a guitar. I think I sent it to you so you could see him playing it. It's very large, and it had like 8 or 9 strings going up a very wide neck, and he was playing it like a guitar, but I don't think it was an actual guitar. I think it was an old instrument or something.
Really?
Like an old instrument. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I have to see it because based on what you're describing, I can't think of it. But this is an interesting question or an interesting hot take. I agree. So the way a 7-string guitar, 8-string guitar works is you have, okay, let's see if I remember this. So standard is E-A-D. So you mind handing me a guitar just for use case? Let's see if I can. One? It's not broken. It's just a different body. Thank you. So with this, you have E, A, E, A, D,
it's so out of tune.
Yeah, E-A-D-G-B-E, right? With a
C-D.
no,
Is that a C on the guitar?
no. It's a different tuning for a guitar because C you can change up through the strings.
Oh.
So like G, technically the full case would be. So it's the same note, but anyway.
Just a few of them.
So with an 8-string guitar, I believe it is F sharp B, then E A D G B E.
Okay.
So the point of it is to basically, when you have a pentatonic scale, which is
Pentatonic's 5.
pentatonic is 5. So how do I? It's been a while. Oh yeah. So that would be one pentatonic, right? So on a piano, I mean, you just have your regular, like as you would with the piano, it's just all the keys.
Yeah, but
together.
we don't have just, we have more than.
You have more than that. You have more than the
8
keys because we don't have the up and down scale of going to the 36 keys. So what I would do is if I wanted to do D up a scale, wow, to your point, this is out of tune. So this would technically be the same key. Right, that's 2 separate strings.
Yeah.
Right, if I hit them together, you probably wouldn't even be able to notice the difference.
Right. Yeah.
So the problem with B and F sharp is it's a continuation. So if you have, 8 keys in one octave, it would be a continuation of, I think it's the sharps actually. So it would be A, B, C, D, E, F, and then F sharp and G sharp. Yeah.
A sharp.
So the reason that I kind of agree with Laffy on this one is because with the continuation of the strings, they actually don't fall into the pentatonic scale. So what ends up happening is, as you just saw, I can do that one thing that I just did. But if I were to go back with 2 more strings, it's not the same. I'd have to go up to here because it's not it's continuation in the sharps rather than the, right? So it would be like if I did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then up to A sharp or whatever it is.
Aren't there flats though in the guitar too?
Well, a flat and a sharp is the same thing, right? The flat is
piano.
the
Well, it
piano
is
is just
piano,
that's
indicative. Of
it depends on how
chords
it's
and
written,
whatnot.
right?
Yeah.
So the argument with the 7 and 8 string guitars is you don't need it. You don't need the extra strings because most songs are played just on the 6 strings anyway. That's why we have a 6-string guitar.
Yeah,
right?
but then that wasn't always the case. They had other
right.
guitars.
So, but then they ended up coming out with the bass guitar, and because now you have multiple guitars. So what people end up doing with the 7th and 8th string is they down tune them so that you have a bass note. So technically, what I could do is like I can play something in G or whatever, or C, and then have a bass note. So I'm trying to think of a song that would be a great example of this. So it's almost like if you didn't have a bass guitarist, you can throw it in.
That's how to your point, they didn't have it.
But here's what people do instead, Mother. They have something called degent. Have you ever heard of this term?
No, I have not.
Degent is one of the... I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why people like degent. But basically what they'll do is they'll down tune the guitar to, like, let's say if it was at F. So let's just say on a 7 string, because we already had the 6. Let's not confuse it with the 8. I'm with Laffy. You don't need the 8th string ever. With a 7 string, you have what's called a degent string, and basically what you could do is you could down tune it to a really low tuning, like 6 or 7 octaves down.
Which this individual did in the middle of the concert. He went up to the knob and he adjusted the knob.
Yes, which is the same thing. So if I was to do like a...
Yeah, he does that.
You could do
as a
that.
classical piece.
So instead of doing that, what if I just went all the way down and did a song? Let's see if I could find a good degent example. It's the worst sounding. I don't know how people like this. I'm going to be honest
If
with
you
you.
need it for the song, it is what it is.
Degent. It's probably going to be, yeah. So it sounds like this. So see, see how it goes from a very high note to a very low note because it's in 2 very separate octaves. Unless you're doing stuff like that, there's no song out there.
Rock type of.
Yeah, it's like you're going from a high octave to a low octave simultaneously quick. It's still in the same scale, but to drop down an octave that low, it's just like having one person scream in one ear and having someone like roar in the other.
Nice.
Right, high pitch versus low pitch. So
beautiful music.
Yeah, I never understood that stuff.
Mellifluous.
Oh, you want to put that back for me? Thank you.
I'll have to find that piece.
Yeah. So I'm with Laffy on this one. I think it is a little crazy having the 7 and 8 string. Some people do 9, some people do 10. The only allowable one is the 12-string guitar. Have you ever heard a 12-string guitar?
I believe I have.
Uncle Ray has a 12-string.
Yes.
12-string guitars, gorgeous. Because basically what that is
Nice
it's
sound.
so what you do. There's a couple ways of doing it. You can either do 2. So it's set up so that you have 6 strings, but you double up the strings. Mm-hmm. So they're all the same octave. So you play through, and it just sounds like 2 guitars. Or what people do is they will do high tuning of one, like 1 octave up and 1 octave down.
Oh.
So it sounds really cool. Yeah. So.
I don't think I've ever seen him play his 12-string.
I don't know if I've ever seen his 12-string. I've seen his Eric Clapton one a couple times, but yeah. So I'm with Laffy on this one. It is, unless you're into djent, which I think's 5 people in the entire world, there's no point. Okay, so other hot takes. They asked, so this West Side Story, the student story. So they asked students some of the top what their big hot takes were.
Students, what age?
College students.
Okay.
Right. Now some of these are we've already done.
Okay.
Like they've had the same thing. Ready? Bacon is disgusting by Lily Zuckin. Now let me say something. I like bacon on everything. I don't like too much bacon. Sometimes there's too much bacon.
Right.
But then there's also people that take bacon too far.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen the freaking ice cream bacon? When people put ice cream?
Yeah, it gets a little crazy.
I'm with you a little bit, Lily. I like it with, like, certain things, but bacon by itself, if I ever saw someone just order straight up bacon, might have to go slap them, but your call.
It is an unusual food. If you didn't know how delicious it tasted, you would think, ew, I'm not eating that. It's just a piece of fat that you just fried in heat.
The real question, though, is firm bacon or chewy bacon?
Oh, yeah, I'm a firm bacon.
Oh, I'm a chewy bacon person. I'm a chewy kind of bacon.
It's a lot of fat and grizzling bacon.
That's the way God intended. That's why pigs are fat and bulky.
Well, when you cut away the fat, which helps it make sizzle when you cook it. Yeah.
I'm rolling the eyes.
Oh, sorry. You don't get much meat out of it. It's really not a lot with a slice of bacon.
I guess that's true. Right. But bacon, bacon's not, listen, bacon is a complementary meat. You heard that. You heard that correct. You heard that from me. It's a complimentary meat. Like, you don't get a bacon sandwich. BLT, not a real sandwich. I said it. Do you agree? I know you like
BLT.
Yeah, I like BLTs too, but it's not a sandwich. That's a snack.
I still think it's a great story. Your brother had a friend who had diet allergies all his life, and they gradually introduced him to foods. And he started with pork for meat because he could never eat meat when he was younger. He had an allergic reaction to it. And they gradually...
Oh, you're talking Michael's friend.
Yeah. They gradually got him used to... they started with bacon. Okay, now, who wouldn't like meat when you start with bacon? And the mother called it, careful, that's the gateway. Gateway meat to other meats. Okay,
they all taste like this?
It was like the perfect example. It's gateway. You get so addicted to the bacon when that's the only meat you have. And I'm like, wow, that's a good one to start with. Not like a liver or something like that.
Yeah, liver's an interesting taste.
Texture. It's just a weird texture to me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Spotify is better than Apple Music. I can't really answer. I love Spotify.
Yeah,
our podcast is on Spotify, so honestly,
I do know Apple Music through Grandma. Grandma has Apple Music.
I know Uncle Ray uses it in the car.
Yeah, so she uses she has her own account.
I don't know what the benefits are.
And he introduced her to it, but it's okay. You know, I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know a lot about Apple Music, like what it can do and can't do. Spotify's been pretty good though. We've used it as a family. We have the family account, and I've never had a problem with it. I always seem to. The only time I have a problem is like you told me, you gotta, if you want to keep the song all the time, you gotta download the song versus play it.
Yeah, the only time you need it downloaded is if you're on a plane. You don't have to download all of them. Yeah. So
because I notice I don't have all my songs all the time.
Yeah. Some get taken off. Like that's one thing that I don't like about Spotify. They'll take off stuff and not.
But Apple might do that too.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak for them. But our podcast, I don't know. Like the only thing that I wish would change on Spotify was direct uploads to Spotify. So for us, you have to do an RSV file, and then it has to be posted on a separate website to go to Spotify. So that's
a little
annoying.
bit of pain, yeah.
They're actually doing something this week that might change that. And I know we got asked like, hey, what do you want to change? And I was like, okay, I'll give you some stuff. So hopefully they make those. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is from Nathan, who's 22. Water isn't wet because the term wet is used as an adjective to describe when something has water on it. Water is already water. You can't say that water has water on it.
Okay.
It's a weird one. Yeah. I kind of disagree with this. I feel like water is wet because it causes you to get wet. Like if you jump in water, you're wet.
Well, that describes what water does to you. That's what he's saying.
Right.
It makes you
so
wet.
Water's not wet. Water is water. Okay.
Water makes you wet.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like if I was to... I guess that is like saying this is hot, but it doesn't hot you. It burns you.
Yeah. Right. And a gas, a gas is just elements that...
Well, interesting. I'm starting to side with Nathan on this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. It does describe what H2O becomes. H2O is molecules together, and when it touches a surface, it makes a wet sensation. Or when it's in the air, if you have to identify it, you would identify it as something wet. Not that it is wet, but it's something wet.
Yeah. I don't like that answer, but I agree. Something about it, I'm like, because water it's weird because it's a liquid. It's a liquid, so like...
Right, liquid, gas, solid.
With
How would you
solids,
describe a liquid? A liquid can create a wet event.
Right.
As a liquid. So, yeah. I see what he's saying. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's very specific. Like that's what's interesting. It's very, very specific to describe something that's a liquid.
Yeah.
So, water or whatever, yeah.
Stephanie says, hot Cheetos, pickles, Twizzlers, and cheese are disgusting. Strawberries are not that good, and we all eat them because others do, and we just don't want to say it out loud. I like strawberries. I don't mind strawberries. Twizzlers suck. I know you like Twizzlers, which disgusts me, but...
I like Twizzlers, but as I'm eating them, they gross me out.
Yeah, they're disgusting.
Yeah, it's like you with the bacon too much after a while, but I can't stop with the Twizzlers.
Yeah, Twizzlers and the licorice ones. Ugh.
Yeah, I can't eat a lot of licorice ones. I can eat the strawberry ones.
That's gross.
But
strawberry? Did you just say strawberry?
Yeah, they make.
There's a strawberry Twizzler.
Cherry, and they have strawberry also. Oh,
if
they make all flavors now.
If that's cherry, someone's got to get their palate checked because I refuse to believe that the natural Twizzler, the OG Twizzler, is cherry.
Yeah, it's like a cherry.
That's cherry?
It's supposed to be a cherry.
Yeah, we should sue. That is not a real. That's BS. Strawberries are not that good. I don't mind strawberries, but like when you get that mushy strawberry, your whole day's ruined.
Yeah, and the strawberries don't last very long. But there was an actress, she's still around, her name is Jane Seymour. I remember when she had little kids. She had a good point. She said, we condition kids to like certain things, right? So she would make it almost, and I don't know, it was specific to strawberries, I don't remember, but I'll say this. She would tell them, you can't have many of those, like treat it like you would junk food.
Strawberries?
And her kids craved, they wanted the strawberries because they couldn't have them, like that kind of mentality. But
funny.
she did it right, she had twins. She did that right when they were little. I think a lot of people, I mean, we know there's some sort of psychological thing going on with food in our country. It's been going on for a while. And I think it's they create these foods that are brain associated. You want more, and we turn off the desire to eat things like fruit. Plus, fruit's more expensive, so people don't tend to have that. It's cheaper to go get a bag of Cheetos and eat that versus buy the strawberry, wash the strawberry, core the strawberry, and if it's not a good strawberry, like you said, you're guaranteed every Tostito chip's going to taste the same.
Exactly.
You might not get a good strawberry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, agreed. Like a strawberry, if I get one mushy strawberry, my whole, like everything I do that day is gone. It's over. I just want to go to bed, start over.
All right, enough.
Yuji, I didn't even know how you pronounce this kid's name. Water has taste. I don't know.
If you ask your father, he'll tell you certain waters taste different.
I do agree.
Differently. Yeah,
I agree.
I'm not a connoisseur, but I know a bad glass of water. Like I could taste what.
Oh yeah, like water fountains. Water fountain water just hits different. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's like tap water, and even every city has different tap
But
water.
But my other question would be, if we were to get one of those filtration systems and we put all the different types of water in, would each one taste the same after being purified the same way, or not? Like if I took city water, because then all of a sudden it's all the same, right? So then water doesn't really have a taste.
Well, if you take everything out of it that you conceivably can, it should all taste the same because it's H2O.
Right. So water only has a taste because of the byproducts that are in it.
Right.
Which, like, if you're on town water,
and how it's treated. Because remember, town water is just, not to gross people out, recirculated water. Yeah. They take all the negatives out of the sewage.
Right.
They treat it with massive amounts of chlorine and whatnot and zap out all the bacteria and stuff, and they push it through. Which is why a lot of people I know will never drink tap water. They always get the bottled water. They get those supposedly clean waters. You know,
that's disgusting.
The tanks of Poland Spring or whatever. Sponsors.
Poland Spring. Cinnamon rolls are a dessert, and we've been tricked into thinking they are a breakfast food.
It's true.
You know, yeah, but honestly, the guy's 100% correct, but don't say that.
Same as waffles and pancakes. It's all garbage.
Yeah, but something about all the sugar in a cinnamon roll. Like, there's sugar in it. Like, think about it. A cinnamon roll is sugar on top of sugar. Yeah. A pancake is just sugar.
Yeah, it's just a plate of diabetes is what it is.
But it's one of Cinnabon's, like, best marketing campaign.
Oh my gosh. Because your grandmother has this thing about cinnamon rolls. She keeps a tube in her fridge at all times.
That's where I get it from.
Out of the blue, she'll make, like a normal grandmother would
Where
make a plate of cookies.
Where is the nearest Cinnabon from here?
Not your grandmother. She's got to make
she's
cinnamon
like, I need
rolls.
cinnamon rolls.
Like, Mom, what kid is going to eat?
The one reason that I'd go
on top.
Again, as we talked about last week, if I went to Universal, we're getting Cinnabon every day. I can walk to it from the room. I know where it is.
Oh.
Peter,
that's why we don't take Chris, because he just goes for the food.
go for the food, yeah. Peter Adams, corn belongs on a pizza. Peter, public execution. What a terrible take.
Corn belongs on a pizza.
Oh man. Okay, caramel is pronounced caramel. Caramel.
Yeah.
Some people say caramel.
Caramel.
Which I think, I'm with this person. Mayonnaise is just egg butter.
Yeah,
it's true. It's just oil and egg.
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of gross.
Is this a good one? Oh, that's a bad one. That's a terrible take. This guy said dogs are disgusting. Yeah.
Shoot him.
Yeah, that's the guy that guy needs to be taken out back.
Figuratively.
So this one's not really hot takes, but these are good questions that I thought were kind of interesting because I don't know what I would say to a lot of these. Right? If I was to answer for you, what? Okay.
Answer for me?
Well, I just mean in general, like me or whatever I just said. So, what's your favorite place you've lived? Probably here, I would say.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what.
My favorite place I've lived.
See, I've only really lived here in Scranton, so not like here.
I think probably for that time in my life would be Long Island because it was a great little neighborhood with all the little friends and stuff.
Yeah. We never had friends in our neighborhood.
No, you never had friends.
Our neighborhood, yeah.
Never had kids.
If you can spend an evening with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Does Jesus count?
I would say a person in history. I would say a person in history, like a historical person, not to go down the rabbit hole of Jesus, but that's I think everyone's going to say that.
To the side he's
I think everyone would say that answer.
Yeah, but then I would throw in like a Mary or somebody interesting like that.
Let's do non-religious.
Non-religious, okay. Not relatives? Sometimes you want to see relatives.
You could do relatives, but you have to say why. See, I would pick someone in history. I don't know why.
Well, I always think it'd be interesting to talk to Socrates.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thinker.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah, because I like about him, he doesn't seem arrogant. For somebody whose whole method was asking questions, that's how he taught. I think that's a great way of teaching, asking questions. I'd like to ask him, did you ever give answers? Or did you just always ask questions? And that requires a tremendous amount of patience because you got to wait for people to work through stupid answers to your questions so you get to what you want them to learn from it. So I just think he would be really interesting because so many great thinkers came from him.
See, I'm gonna take the darker approach.
Oh, good. Don't tell me Hitler or something like that, please.
I won't say that, but I am interested in how someone truly evil like gets to that point. Like I'd like to hear their thought process on how you get to that level. You know, because the way I see it was you have to have a lot of people around you being a yes man saying like, hey, this is the right answer of what you should do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Adolf's the best answer of that. Like I'm not saying that's my answer, but like I want to know how he got from this to this, right? Without anyone along the way going, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. And I'm sure if someone did, they were just executed, but I have to figure like there were more than one person. Like where was the disconnect? That's what I want to know. Where was like the actual disconnect of when someone purely that evil goes evil?
Yeah, but you may not learn that from talking to that person because they don't see a disconnect. They think they were perfectly normal.
Right. So that, but you're gonna, even someone who says they're perfectly normal, when they start telling their story, at a certain point you're gonna go, oh, that's where the disconnect is.
Yeah, maybe.
Like think of those, those serial killers that have like these crazy stories that, like, and then there's always that one person that goes, oh, this is the like this is where I can tell there was a problem or like where it all started. Like I'd like to see if I can solve that in a conversation with someone like Attila the Hun or something, you know? Like that's where I would find the interest. Like talking to someone I already like, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna get better
someone
answers.
like Attila the Hun, for instance.
Yeah.
He's not a hard one to figure out because that's what he came from. That's his family background. Right. A person like Adolf Hitler. Yeah. They're very puzzling in the sense that for all we know, his parents were very normal. Yeah, they were nice.
They think it was PTSD from World War I.
Well, it could have been, but a lot of people PTSD. They don't go on to be radical like that.
Yeah,
you know,
so that's what I mean. I would love to know where that disconnect was. So that's one. If you had to move abroad tomorrow, where would you move?
Switzerland.
Oh yeah, Switzerland.
Neutral Switzerland.
Neutral Switzerland. I would say
I like Australia. I don't know. Well, I don't like it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say Australia completely changed.
It's an attractive place. It's on the other side of the world. I find that interesting. Sadly, I don't really have much interest in. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know it well, but I think it's kind of cool to go back to the ancient Middle East and go to places that I've heard about, we've read about since we were little, like the birth of humanity, birth of life and everything. I guess it's more Egypt in that area, but it's just politically the area is not that great. If it was just purely to go see it without any politics, without anything, I would like to do that. But you can't go there. A lot of these places are too dangerous and whatnot. So I tend to pick places like Switzerland, the Western culture. So I'd like to see. I'd go move to a place like that. I think Belgium's supposed to be very nice. I know people lived in Belgium.
I'd like to move to what's that famous place?
Monaco.
No. It's a lot of celebrities are there, but not too many people know about it. It's the
islands, Seychelles.
No, it's the. Oh, Papa just mentioned it to me, and I was like,
"Yes,
that's
Monaco?"
It. No, it's not Monaco. It's
Where is it? In Europe?
Yeah, I think so. God damn it. Yeah, whatever. I'll go with Monaco because essentially the same thing, just a little nicer. What's your McDonald's order?
Fish fillet.
I knew you were going to say that. We talked about it the other day. Fish fillet is disgusting. I can't believe you trust fish at it.
But
that's like gas station sushi.
No, I've had Big Macs. I like the Big Mac. But then I got sick of the Big Mac. Then
How much McDonald's are you eating?
I'm talking a long time ago. I don't eat it at all. That's why I can't even eat their food. Sorry. Sponsor
us. Are you crazy? They said your mom's house had $2 million budget for their studio. Hell yeah. Take that shit back now, please.
I like the Big Mac. Quarter pounder.
Next week we have like 10 Big Macs they sent to us. Eat them.
McDonald's shirt.
Please give us the money. If you can have an endless...
Eat one on the podcast if you want to.
What's the worst advice you were ever given? God, I feel like I've been so many. Yeah, what a terrible question. What book would you bring with you to a deserted island?
One book?
See, here I'm going to take this the other way. If I'm on a deserted island, I couldn't give a shit about a book, right? I'm trying to survive.
I know, right?
Let me take my time and read.
Read it over and over again a million times.
I don't have shelter yet, but let me read. That book will quickly become my least favorite book. Firewood.
No. I want an enormous book.
Yeah.
Because I need the toilet paper.
Yeah, right. That's a good answer.
War and Peace. War and
Peace.
The Bible. I wouldn't use the Bible. That's crude. But
yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to say Bible, but then when you said toilet paper, I was like, oh, I can't.
You can't do that.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay, what are these one? Oh, interesting. Hot. Oh, there we go. Hot takes. They literally have a perfect one, right? Guacamole is actually a salsa.
I'm not a guacamole aficionado.
I am a guac aficionado. So
it's food, of course.
To me,
you are.
salsa has like a watery texture to it. Guac doesn't have a watery texture. Guac is a paste, not a salsa. Terrible hot take.
I agree.
I win. It's a solving crime.
Very different.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
Meat between two pieces of bread.
Yeah, I get. Do we consider a hot dog meat though? Does anyone really know what's in a hot dog?
If it's an all beef frank.
Yeah. A ravioli is a wet Pop-Tart. As an Italian, I feel like I have to say no to this.
No, it's not.
It's
different
not,
texture. It's different everything. It's the same type. You shove something in the middle.
Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. That is true.
I don't know. They always tell you that, but
it's good brain food. Like if you're trying to get up in the mornings and you're like, oh, I have to go to work, you probably should, just so you don't have to hunger. Like the brain slows down a little bit.
I think every person's different. Some people need the morning nutrition, other people don't. I think it's wrong when they say it should be the same for everybody. But if you're eating a Cinnabon, then I don't think you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, 100%. Shaking hands is actually unsanitary. You know, I mean, it's true, but Betty, this is the way I'm going to say it. Yes, that's true because shaking hands is unsanitary, definitely. But the value of the handshake outweighs the germs.
Here's my thing. I've always thought, as a woman, the only time I would shake hands all the time is in business environment.
Right.
And I've often wondered, where did that come from? People never used to shake hands. They used to bow to each other. Some cultures, they still bow to each other. I don't know why the Western culture adopted this idea of the physical contact hand to hand, right to right. I don't know. What difference does it make? It's you do something binding, like by shaking hands. It's a way of binding that we're one in agreement.
Right.
Okay, I get that. But I never understood why you have to shake hands whenever you see somebody. Men do it often.
Yeah, I shake a lot of hands.
Now, a lot of that ended with COVID, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were against that.
Which is weird.
Right, and I still find a lot of people are hesitant to shake hands because of that. A little pandemic might do that to you.
Yeah. Being a morning person is better than being a night owl. I'm going to say false. I'd rather be a night owl. I feel like I get more stuff done at night.
If you work at night, that's your job. You're better off being a night owl. If you're a midnight to 6 a.m. nurse, you better be a night owl. Or you're going to be giving Tylenol to people with open heart surgery.
This is an interesting one. Do Hershey's Kisses taste better than a Hershey's plain chocolate bar? Oh.
Okay, I'm not talking about Hershey right now because I'm banning Hershey because they're destroying it with their woke culture.
Okay. Sure, but that doesn't answer the question. So I think a Hershey Kiss, to that point, I've never thought about it until now. It's too dense. A Hershey Kiss is too dense compared to a bar. So I've never
liked Hershey Kisses. I think they're the most boring candy in the world, and you got to work so hard for them. You got to take that
That's
damn
a very
wrapper
fair
off
point.
every time for one stinking little blob piece of chocolate. Then they started to make them into stuff and put mint in them and then almonds and everything else, which was fine, but you're still making me work for it every time I got to open it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Now that I thought about it, yeah, the Hershey Kiss kind of does suck. But I feel like there's one on the tip of my tongue that I'm trying to I'm trying to get back in the taste receptors.
I also think the Hershey bar is better chocolate. It's a little smoother chocolate. For some
I
reason,
don't know what it is though.
Yeah, the Kisses always taste a little stale because they're individually wrapped.
What's another boring candy? I'm trying to think. There's one on the top of my head that I'm like, oh man, that's a really boring chocolate, but I can't think of it.
No, Hershey's Bloody Banes.
You know what it is? Peanut chews.
Yeah,
I think peanut chews are so boring.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Charleston chews are kind of boring too. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. Hell, I'll redo their chocolate. Like just. I'll walk in there, I'll say, change this, and boom, Booming Company. They're like, we've been plummeting money for 20 years.
Do you remember going to the Hershey factory when you were a kid?
Very,
you did that
very
once?
long ago. I just remember the giant Hershey bars.
Yeah,
remember they were like $100.
Go around the cart and watch how the cocoa beans are picked.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't been to the Hershey's Chocolate Factory, this is my fat ass. the Hershey bar, you guys probably can't really see this table back here.
Yeah,
but remember the Hershey bar was the size of this table for $100.
Well, they had some of those, but they also had most of them are like these giant.
Yeah, they're massive, but
12 by 12.
I'm not going for this, Ma.
Yeah.
I'm going for this.
We had to rein them in.
I don't know how much it was, but I was like, at this point, I was like, I have $100 in the bank. It's like 90. Mom and Dad gave me an allowance of 5.
Working the numbers.
Yeah.
I could get 2 Hershey's.
I could get 2 little ones or 1 ginormous one. So I had to be how old? 6,
he was
7.
little. I don't think Mike was born. Mike could have been born. Oh, he must have been. We took him to Hershey, Pennsylvania, so he was a baby.
What about Crayola Factory?
Yeah.
That was my candy.
That was closer. Yeah. Stop eating the red crayon.
Chris, you're eating the crayons again. That's not.
No, I'm not.
No. But it's brown. I thought it was chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hour 45, hour 46. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Fight night.
It is fight night, yes. 9:24. I got to get ready for half an hour when hanging out with the boys. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I got through all my stuff. You got through all yours. Only things we have to promote. So, podcast for last week. If you haven't seen it yet, go check that one out because a lot of our articles were follow-ups for this week. I did the first episode of, Sons of the Forest was Wednesday. And then yesterday I started the Games Pass Roulette that I told you about. Remember the Games Pass Roulette?
Oh, yeah.
So that turned out pretty good. That first one was pretty good. Luckily, it was a good game. It might have been a shit one next time. But I was like, okay, this game I could do. But I was like, if this is a crap game, I don't know how I'm going to get enough content for a video.
Yeah. Well, don't you run into that problem all the time if you have a new game that you don't know?
Well, usually I'll know. But if it's a completely random one, I could be getting a kid's game and then we're screwed. Excuse me. But other than that, Sunday is the speed run for Metroid Prime, which took 7 hours, so you'll have to watch that one over multiple times, I think. But yeah, and then this comes out on Monday. Fights tonight. Go check those out. We'll be in Discord watching them, and then we can talk about them on Monday. Monday we'll probably bang out. That's right. So as you can see up there is Incredibles. I told myself. So I did the Incredibles the other day. Mom, the speed run for this went south so fast. It did not go well at all for me. So I was swearing like crazy. And then I told myself I got to do a better time.
You said Incredibles, not so much.
It's not so incredible. It's terrible. It's just amazing to go back and realize like the games that I thought were good as a kid. Like some of the GameCube masterpieces, like those still hold up to this day. Yeah. But Disney Pixar Incredibles sucked. Yeah. So I'm going to give that one another shot. I have to. And then Tuesday I probably won't be able to do Atomic Hearts on Tuesday. But either way, that's it. Social media down below. Promo codes down below. Other stream links down below. Discord down below for if you want to post your own hotcakes or podcast questions. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So.